I taught skiing for over 20 years and we had, I don't mind saying it now, I had this, I'm going to give Carol a shout in Vermont. She was just the greatest kids learning center supervisor that one could ever have. And it was kind of an understanding at Whitetail that when you put in your time, and I had been going through a divorce, and so would sometimes have the children with me, and they were young, and they didn't want to always go to the mountain, and that presented its own set of challenges when I had them that weekend when I was trying to do this juggling act between my regular job, the transition, getting them fed and so forth. She was like maybe 9 at the time, 8 or 9. I would have them in the hut that we had. We had like a little cabin for not the kids' learning center because that was, for registered folks that were skiing. But what we did do is when there was room, we incorporated them into the program as well.
Oh, fun.
And uh, Carol would do that for me. So that was a big shout out to her and her husband Kinley up there in Vermont. And they're now at Killington, so
Oh,
not super far from you. And then what happened is we had a sort of a regime change, and just the favors from being seniority, if you will, sort of went by the wayside. And I was like just the fresh chum. And
yeah.
I just remember one particular episode, and I won't say who this individual was, but I would start out with a group of kids in the morning. Then what would happen is I'd get them up to speed, and then the supervisor would come tell me, "Hey, let's get these kids moving, and we're going to move them on to Chad, and Chad's going to take them, and here's 3 ones that came in the afternoon, and one of them you see just like having a tantrum, banging his ski against his boot or something, and you just know this is going to be great. This is
Oh
this is
God.
so, I've had Olympians on my podcast. One of them was Gary Hall Sr., and he said, in life, winning life's gold medal, he says, as a opposition to that, everyone in life has a Russian judge. And if you know anything about the Russian judges and the East Germans, they kind of tip the scales their way in judging gymnastics or anything that could be judged, doing things to try to confound the other competitors. I certainly felt this supervisor was kind of my one of my Russian judges. Some people you get along simpatico, and some people it's like oil and water, and you
And
can almost feel the energy in the room. I don't know if you've
you
ever had
can't,
that.
oh yeah, and you can't fight that battle either. Once you realize that like this is just not a personality I can mesh with, it's for me like that usually means like okay, it's time to move on because like I'm not going to fight this battle.